of 68 after dark.
Welcome in, everybody, to the Field of 68 after dark on the second to last Saturday before we hit Rob Dauster's favorite month, which he believes every month should be, and that is March. And I got to say, we had one of the greatest games you could hope for at this time of year in D.C., and we'll get these guys' thoughts on it momentarily, but I think it's safe to say that game absolutely delivered. John Martin, Rob Dauster, Jeff Goodman here with you tonight. We're on SiriusXM, we're on YouTube, we're on X. We're here with you for the next hour. And then, of course, we're going to do a 4.5-hour afters as contractually required by Rob Dauster on Saturdays. Gentlemen, lots of games to touch on today, no question about it. Obviously, Arizona going into Houston and coming out with a win, just Houston's second loss since they moved to the Big 12 at home. So a lot to get to. But Rob, let's start with that game in D.C. Elite atmosphere, elite teams, and Duke comes out with the win.
I was blown away with how well Duke's bigs played, right? Like that's what we talked about coming into this game. John, we did the preview for it on Thursday, and we basically said, like, look, you got Cam Boozer in there going up against Yaxter Lindenberg, Morris Johnson, Adai Mara, the biggest front line that we have in college basketball. How are they going to deal with it? How are they going to figure it out? Basically, in the first half, Michigan was able to kind of nullify Duke. But in the last 4 minutes, I thought that what Scheyer was able to do to manipulate Michigan's defense, to pull the ball away from the rim, to create space and create actions for his team. They scored on every one of their last 5 possessions of the game against the number 1 defense in America. And we can nerd out a little bit later on what they actually did. But I thought Scheyer coached a hell of a game, and I thought Cam Boozer dominated that game and took over that game in the final 4 minutes when he needed to. You can make an argument maybe he shouldn't have been on the floor. I don't know if that was a foul. Did he pick up his 5th foul against Morris Johnson on that missed dunk? I don't know. I don't think it was. A lot of people yelling at me that it was a foul, but either way, huge win for Duke. We said it all week, guys. We need to rephrase the conversation of college basketball and can you win 6 to can you beat Michigan? And I think Duke just proved, hey, they can beat Michigan.
And go ahead, Goodman, because I can see you obviously if you've changed hats. Now I don't know what was wrong with you at the beginning of the show that possessed you to put the Signetti hat on. There wasn't really anything
it was
that
just
happened
to annoy you. It was actually to annoy Dauster.
Mission accomplished. No question about it.
Thank you. No, I mean, here's the plain and simple here is Duke's defense and working the glass was the difference, right? I mean, we thought that this Michigan team, and Mara picking up the 2 fouls early. Good work there, Dagan. I don't know what you're doing. But
go to the handsome
Mara
guy.
Getting the, Mara getting into foul trouble early certainly hurt him. But, again, Gamba, I don't think we've given him enough credit over the course of the year. I think we've given him some credit throughout the season. But, man, that dude is so tough. And Kamania comes out and gets 9 rebounds. This was one you could tell Duke took personally of hey, we're going to be punked in this one. That's what everybody thought, right? That's what Michigan's front line has done throughout the season. But, listen, all Cam Boozer does is win. And their defense, their rebounding, their, like Rob said, ability to make plays down the stretch. I thought, one play in particular really cost Michigan where Foster got the ball down low. 4 guys just kind of swarmed them. And they forgot about a guy named Cam Boozer from the 3-point line, and he just drilled the 3 to pretty much ice the game. So they made plays. They made plays when they had to, and they proved that Rob Dauster's immortal team can be beat.
Your point about that play, like I went back and I watched the possessions down the stretch. That was the exact same set as the play that got the Isaiah Evans lob. Basically what they did was they put Gangba as the passer, and they had someone run off a flare screen that was set by Cam Boozer because that was the one thing that Michigan wasn't switching. They overloaded one side so that you pulled the big away from the basket and you had the space underneath. And they tried to get Foster in the rim, and Morris Johnson read it and tried to go down there and help down and make sure they didn't get a layup. And Caleb Foster was able to kick that one out to Cam Boozer. And to me, that was just an example of the way that Scheyer was able to manipulate what Michigan was doing defensively, right? Can move people where he wants them to move. He was able to get 3 different looks off of ball screen actions with Cam Boozer as the ball handler. He used Boozer as a screener in those flare screen actions. It's really fun. And we talked to Scheyer about this a little bit in the interview that we have with him, but it's just the way that he's able to kind of manipulate defenses and scheme with this group that he has is really, really impressive. They don't have a point guard. I still do think that that is somewhat of an issue for them once you get to March, but when you are able to create offense and create good shots out of scheming and out of coaching and out of counters and out of the way that Jon Scheyer was able to coach the end of that game, I think that nullifies the issue just a little bit in my mind.
Yeah, and again, I got to make sure that Goodman's not dozing off during film study, Dauster. It's very important. I kind of saw him nodding off a little bit. You know, we got to make sure he's.
I mean, I've been locked in. I've been locked in from before the reveal, even, and then we had the reveal. I mean, it's been a long
week because you did the mock tournament.
Yeah, no, I did. It was like bracket learning. I mean, that's what I call it, like bracket 101. And right. I picked up a lot there. But I'll tell you what, this was just a fun game. And John, you said it. You texted me earlier about it. Like even these low-scoring, defensive-minded games, right? Which is what this was. There wasn't a lot of like crisp offense throughout, but it was such a fun game. And
yes.
You know, to be played in mid-February like this, mid to late February, I love that Duke has done this. Now, last year's was a complete mollywhopping when they beat Illinois by 47 or 43, whatever it was. This one was a hell of a game between, you know, arguably the 2 best teams in America right now. I know Arizona, we'll talk about them here in a little bit. I would say this, coming out of today, and what we saw last week, you know, I saw Iowa State in 2 games. Rob saw them in 1 against Houston, beat them. I would say this thing's a little more open than we thought going in. You know, we put Michigan and Arizona on a pedestal all year above everybody else. And I think now it's time to admit that, yeah, like those 2 have been more consistent maybe than most teams. But Duke is 2 plays away from being undefeated right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, yeah, like you said, I mean, every basket felt so massive in this game. It was obviously low scoring relative to what both these teams are capable of. And the crowd was just, I mean, that was an NCAA tournament preview. I mean, that's why these matter. And I think way more, right, Rob, because, and we're going to get to Jon Scheyer here momentarily, but like, this is what you got to do. You got to go win a game at a neutral site with another elite team's fan base there too. And so I thought tonight, you know, we've seen a little bit from Duke obviously this year, but to do it in February.
That's what we say all the time, right? Like that's kind of the buzzword. This feels like an Elite 8 game. This feels like a Sweet 16 game. Well, that was in the building that is going to have 2 Sweet 16 games and an Elite 8 game here in about 5 weeks, right? And that was the environment that you're going to see. It's not going to be Michigan and Duke. Those are going to be the top 2 seeds. We saw that in the reveal today. But that's the environment that you're going to see and the experience that you're going to have when you go and you play in those moments and at that level and then that spot in the tournament. So it was good for them to be able to get that experience. Like Duke and Michigan are going to be able to say, yeah, we went to war in a spot like this just 5 weeks ago. We've been through that. We know how to be able to deal with this. The ability of Duke to kind of eliminate Michigan's transition game and eliminate their ability to take advantage on the glass. Like they didn't turn the ball over. They didn't give up offensive rebounds. They were able to make Michigan take the ball out of the basket and inbound it. They took away their transition opportunities. That's what won this game, right? That's what you have to do to be able to beat Michigan, and they were able to do it better than anyone has so far this season.
These guys earlier tonight got a chance to catch up with the winner of this game, Duke coach Jon Scheyer. Here's a few moments from their conversation with Jon Scheyer.
And now let me welcome onto the field of 68 after dark, Duke head coach Jon Scheyer, fresh off a 68-63 win over the number 1 team in the country, the Michigan Wolverines there in DC. John, the first thing I want to ask you is, man, the way that you guys were able to kind of control the paint against a team that has that much size is something that's my number 1 headline takeaway. You won the rebounding battle. You kept them from scoring in the paint.
and you have two big guys that I thought played fantastic in both Boozer and Pat Ngongba.
Well, I thought it was the key to the game, probably, right? And you're playing a game where when you're looking at their stats and all that, it's not like they have a lot of flaws, and so you can very easily try to adjust to what may or may not work against them, or you can be true to who you are and play to our strengths. That's the same thing for us. Winning the rebounding battle is important. The points in the paint and how we do that. And I thought we did a great job of like Nick Menia in that first half. He ends up with 9 rebounds. What he did was huge. Perimeter rebounding was a big key to the game. And then you mentioned Pat and Cam. To me, with Malik Brown, again, I'm not taking anything away from their front line. Their front line is terrific. But of course, we have pride, and we think our front line is terrific too.
Yeah, Dauster said this Michigan team couldn't be beat. That's what he said the other day. They can't be beat. And you beat them. You beat the greatest team in the history of college basketball, according to Rob Dauster.
Well, Rob, we have headlines of Rob Dauster quotes in our locker room. No, I'm just kidding.
There you go.
But no, they're really good. And
they are really good.
I think, look, we're going in to win tonight, no question. But the win or loss, this is just the next necessary step. And so we're going to treat it as such that they gave us a trophy. I didn't even know we were getting a trophy for that. My son poured water on my head thinking there was the big trophy. So we haven't done that yet.
Which son? He's how old?
My son is 6, and all he knows is when we win, do we get to pour water in your head? That's what he cares about. So
that's awesome.
That's great. Hey, what though did this mean? Because again, I think it was something where, I saw the loss to Carolina, really, really close loss. Could have, should have won that game. Texas Tech, same thing. Could have, should have won that game. This one you win. I think this thing is fairly wide open, John. I don't think there's a dominant team. I think we were putting Michigan on that pedestal. We put Arizona on that pedestal earlier this year. I think this year, again, do you look at it a little bit that way too, of like, hey, it's going to come down to who's playing the best, who's healthy, come, NCAA tournament time?
I think I do a pretty good job of just putting my blinders on, to be honest with you. I do. Like, I don't get into a thing of like, there is separation or there isn't. I worry about what we can control. And so for me, it was the prep against Michigan, right? And they're as good as anybody. I mean, clearly. And we feel confident when we step on the floor. We should win that game. That doesn't mean that you can't be beat. Everybody can be beat. But I think the focus for us has to continue to go to, winning in the margins. And I think when you look at, all right, Texas Tech and Carolina, it's one possession, right? Tonight, it's a one possession game down the stretch. And so for us, I think the value of being in all these games that we've been in this year, I think we've grown and we've learned and continue to understand what's required to win.
Good stuff there from Duke coach Jon Scheyer. Again, 68-63 win over Michigan. So the Michigan side of this, Rob, 625 from 3. And I would say overwhelmingly the majority of those 25 were looks that they've been making all year. Now, the beauty of college basketball and what makes it very different from, say, professional basketball is that if this was a playoff series, you have 6 more games for those averages to come back to the middle. But I was just curious, what you thought about Michigan and what they maybe did or didn't do well tonight.
If you are built around having that much size, you got to be able to control the paint. You got to be able to score in the paint, which Michigan didn't do. You got to be able to win the rebounding battle, which Michigan didn't do. And if you are risking having defenses just pack everybody in the lane, you got to be able to make threes to pull them out away from the basket, which Michigan did not do. And that's kind of what this loss came down to, right? We said it after the Purdue game, Goodman, that if Michigan is going to shoot 13 for 23 from 3, they're not losing to literally any, like no one's going to beat them. If they shot 13 for 23 from 3 in this game, they would have beat Duke by 25. But they were 6 for 25. If they shoot 6 for 25 from 3, then they're not going to be able to beat the best teams in college basketball. Like that sounds pretty simplistic, but it really is just a make or miss game with them, because what defenses are going to do is dare you dare Michigan to make shots over the top. Michigan was not able to do that today, and they were not able to get a win as a result. This doesn't really change my opinion of Michigan all that much. They kind of are who we thought they were. When they can't get out in transition, they can't dominate the glass, and they can't make threes, they're not going to be able to be great. And they didn't do any of those three things, and they lost to a very, very, very good Duke team who, Goodman, like you said, are 2 shots away from being undefeated right now. And they lost to them by 5. So I still think Michigan's awesome. I think Duke is, if anything, what we learned about this is that Duke is probably better than we gave them credit for.
They got 6 field goals out of all their perimeter guys today. 6.
Mm-hmm.
6. Like, Cadeau's been pretty good for the most part this year, right? He shot the ball. That we've talked about this all year. If he shoots the ball like he has this year, we feel like, hey, they are pretty close to unbeatable. I mean, he outplayed Braden Smith the other night when we were there at Mackey. Tonight, he couldn't make a shot till the final 3. It came down, made a big 3 to put some pressure on him at the end, but it was too late at that point. If they had made some shots early, I think you might have seen a little bit of separation there and gotten Duke kind of on their heels a little bit. But, for the most part, the perimeter guys just didn't shoot the ball well, and a lot of them were open looks. Yaxel kept him in the game early, 15 early. But again, he kind of carried this team, and that's not really the way this team has been built lately. Early on, Yaxel was dominant, but kind of when they were rolling through, all those games where they're winning by 40 and 30 and, even over the past month or so, it's been a team effort. And I thought the other part, having said that about Cadeau, he couldn't make a shot. I felt like when he got hurt, their offense got a little more stagnant at that point, and they tried to go way more.
Yeah, and I would say, listen, he was 0 of 6 at one point, 0 and 7 at one point, 0 and 7 at one point. From the field. Again, I do wonder a little bit if when you learn less about your team when you're, as weird as that is to say, when you're winning with margin. If you know what I mean, like, because there was no game pressure. There's and I feel like in the end, it's cliche. It's like, oh, but that's why you do play this game. Like, there's going to be a winner and there's going to be a loser, and like each one of these teams is going to learn something and take something out of this game, Rob.
Yeah, well, I mean, 100%. And it's also, you get a little bit of a wake-up call if you're Michigan, right? Because you're probably feeling pretty good about yourself after the way that you go into Mackey Arena and you beat Purdue, and you're sitting all alone in first place in the Big Ten. Sometimes you need to get humbled a little bit, and there's nothing wrong with getting humbled by the team that is currently number 2 on KenPom, and that will probably be the number 1 team in America when we look up on Monday morning. So credit to Michigan for taking this game. Credit to Dusty May for playing it. I think we do have to give credit to the coaches that actually put these together and are willing to test themselves in neutral court environments and in situations like this, because it's theater. They don't have to play these games, and it's purely entertainment value. What does this help beyond getting them ready for March, right? This isn't going to be something that helps you win a conference championship. This isn't going to be something that helps you win a league title. And if anything, having to play games like this with the added travel is probably not something that is beneficial to being able to hang a banner for a regular season championship. So you got to give them credit for
that. Should Duke be? I'm gonna ask it this way. I don't know if they are. I haven't checked BetMGM as of now, but if they aren't, should Duke be the national championship favorite?
No, I don't think so. But I mean, Arizona, boy, it is hard right now between Michigan, Arizona, and Duke. I mean, Duke might be just because of their name, right? The name carries weight in Vegas. So they could be. But, man, have you seen it this close between 3 teams in which you could make a legitimate case that all should be the betting favorite in Vegas and all have a chance to be the number 1 team in America right now? I mean, it is absolutely insane to me how close it is. And then, Iowa State's playing right now at, BYU. If they win this game, they're not far off as well. So I think, again, going back to it, I'm going to take the easy way out here and say, I'm not even sure. I got to look at it, but I'm not sure there is a number one team in America right now. I think probably you give it to Duke because they just beat Michigan on a neutral court. But last I checked, Arizona just beat the number 2 team at their place.
Yeah.
Yep.
Michigan
right
is.
Now,
go ahead.
You did the same thing I did, so go ahead.
Yeah, so Michigan's plus 375. They're still the favorite. And then there's a tie at 2, Arizona and Duke at plus 450. I'm not sure that
I add
Duke
one thing to that real quick? One thing to Goodman's point on not being number one team. My opinion is that you probably have to have Duke be the number one team in the country this week in the AP poll. I don't think you can vote Arizona number one coming off of 2 losses the way they came off of 2 losses. And I think that's just the way that those polls work. I think Duke has to be number one in the AP poll. If you were going to ask me who the best team in college basketball is right now, if I had to take my house and bet it on one team to win a title, I'm still taking Michigan to be the team that I would bet on to win that title. And I do think that if they played on a neutral, if they ran this game back tomorrow, I think that Michigan would still be favored. I think Michigan would be 1.5 to a 2-point favorite.
I would take Michigan too. I would take Michigan if you told me I had to put my house. What about John? You putting your office on one team? Your $42,000 newly?
Yeah, I mean,
office.
I don't think you need to be, pocket watching. How much I spent on my renovation here for the studio for your network, by the way. That came out of my pocket. You know how many years
Rob's
I'm going to have to
reimburse you for all 42 grand. Rob's going to send you some Venmo later tonight.
Yeah,
don't worry, you're good.
I think I would say Michigan's not going to shoot 6 of 25 from 3, and I would play Michigan. But I'm stubborn. All right, Arizona just went into Houston and did something that only one other team has done since Houston joined the Big 12. We'll get into that when we get back. Field of 68 after dark.
As you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM again this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we will have special offers for Field of 68 fans, including same-game parlays, best-in-class live betting, and daily odds boost. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app. You sign up using bonus code FIELD. You deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. If you're not a member of the Field of 68's On3 community, make sure to go check us out. Get access to all of Jeff Goodman and Rob Dauster's written content, including coaching carousel breakdowns, info on who is and isn't entering the transfer portal, insider recruiting information from none other than Joe Tipton, X's and O's analysis of all the teams in college basketball, and access to our message board community. A 7-day trial costs you $1. The Field of 68 on 3. Get the scoop.
Welcome back. Field of 68 after dark here on a Saturday, a loaded Saturday edition. Mark Pope of Kentucky had some interesting words. Maybe we'll touch on those. Obviously, tough loss for them on the road at Auburn. And at some point today, whether it's in this show or the afters, we definitely have to talk about that. But if Duke beating Michigan was the best win of the day, which is debatable, I suppose, the other candidate was there in Houston. Arizona goes into Houston as a 6-point dog, maybe even longer, depending on where you got it. No Koa Pete. And for the second time ever, Houston loses a Big 12 game at home since they joined the league. Arizona wins behind some big performances from Delorso. Jade Bradley obviously has continued to be consistent. And Arizona saying, hey, whoa. Don't forget about us, Jeff Goodman. Don't forget about the Wildcats.
Yeah, I mean, another win by their defense. Like Duke did it with their defense. Arizona certainly did it with their defense today. Neither of them were like, offensively pleasing games in terms of, to watch them. But what Arizona did without Koa Pete, without Dwayne Aristode, Braden Burries was not himself. You could tell he was still getting over some sort of illness. He didn't play well. Krivas and Awaka were in foul trouble throughout and fouled out at the end of the game. So it was really a Anthony Delorso show. He's had 22 in 2 straight nights now. The Camels transfer. Ivan Karchenkov, kid from Germany who's been fabulous this entire season, but his game is more based on defense and offense. He was great tonight. And Jaden Bradley came on in the second half. But I thought the key, again, was their defense and the fact that they didn't turn the ball over. And that's how Iowa State beat Houston the other night when we were there. And to me, that's a big reason why Arizona was able to beat Houston. They only turned it over 5 times tonight, and Houston among the national leaders in forcing turnovers. So Arizona took care of the ball, and they didn't get crushed on the glass. I don't know what the final number was, but they were fighting them on the glass without having that size in the game, with having being short Koa Pete, with having those guys in foul trouble and having to play Karchenkov at the 4. So this was like a toughness win to me for Arizona going into Houston.
Yeah.
And Rob, that's exactly right. I think that's exactly right. It's a toughness win, right? Because you won this game kind of doing what Houston does, forcing turnovers, battling on the glass, getting the ball out of the best players' hands on the other team. Like if you look at what Kingston Flemings, Milos Uzan, and Emmanuel Sharp did combined, they were 11 for 36 from the floor. 11 for 36. You got 3 NBA players in that backcourt, and they were 11 for 36 from the floor in this game. And that's going to win you a lot of basketball games when you can slow that backcourt down, because we've said it before, Jeff, as good as this Houston team is, they do not have the balance when it comes to front court scoring to be able to match what they had the last couple of seasons. Ivan Karchenkov was unbelievable. If you're talking about what Arizona can be defensively, you got to start with Ivan Karchenkov and how good he was and how versatile he is in this game. But when it comes to Houston, right, I do think that there is a massive circle that you need to put around the turnovers that they forced these last 2 games, because that is what this defense, that is what this program, and that is what this culture is built on. The ability to send 2 at the ball in ball screens and 2 at the ball in the post, and use the length and athleticism that they have to be able to create havoc and force turnovers and turn that into easy buckets at the other end of the floor. They sacrifice being a great defensive rebounding team by being able to force turnovers. And when you cannot force those turnovers and when you cannot get that stuff in transition, then you're opening yourself up to being able to give up a bunch of second chance points. And that's kind of what happened for Arizona here. So credit to them. Delorso, 22 points off the bench was massive for him. Karchenkov made some really good plays, really big plays late. And it's a statement win, man. You go and you win at Houston. That is a statement win, no matter how you want to slice it.
It's huge, and it's the kind of win that, people would always accuse Arizona of not being able to get, right? They would say Arizona is not capable of beating a team like Houston. And I believe it's the one Big 12 Big 12 team that Tommy Lloyd had not beaten prior to today. So, I mean, obviously, that was kind of backed up. I'll say this. I just think for Houston, and again, like their floor is so damn high. Any like 99% of teams would take their floor. But I do think, Jeff, they really missed Juwan Roberts. And there's nothing that they could do about that. His eligibility was up. But like, I think when I watch this Houston team and I compare it to last year,
that's all we do now, right? If your eligibility is up, just file a lawsuit.
He had a case. I don't know if he had one, but
maybe that helps. Maybe it's better to do it later. Because if the judge steps in, then there's nothing the NCAA can do. But I will say you're right. They don't have anybody that you can throw it down to, down low. And I talked to Kelvin about that out of Ames, and he said, we got to win differently now. And, ultimately, I think if those guards aren't going off, and Kingston Flemings, they kept under control, and he is hard to keep out of the lane, but they did a good job on him. And I think in a way, going small helped Arizona today. I think it actually benefited them a little bit because, again, they took care of the ball. They didn't make a lot of mistakes.
I don't know if it benefited them, but I do think that one of the things that it proved, right? Like when we question Arizona in recent years about being able to win in March, one of the reasons we do that is because of the fact that Tommy loves playing two bigs together. And it's like, well, what happens if you're going to play a team that spaces you out and plays 4 round 1 like Princeton did, for example, in what was it, the 2023 NCAA tournament when they had Tubelis and Umar Palo, and they couldn't deal with what was his name, Tosan Abosaman, Sean Paul's favorite guy.
That was absolutely egregious what you just did. I don't even think you were in at the 40-yard line.
Tosin. It's Tosin, and there's an EEV at the start of his name. Tosin, yes. I apologize. It's a hard name to say. 3 years ago since I even thought about it. But the question that we have with Arizona is what happens when you can space it out? Well, you know what? You can play Karchenkov at the 4. And we just saw them do that and saw them close out a game on the road against the number 6 team on KenPom and the number 4 team or the number 2 team in America and go and get that win. So to me, I think it just showed that there's a level of versatility on this team, proven versatility that maybe they haven't had in years past.
So the question I'm going to ask, go ahead.
They're just not, they had it's been that like Pac-12 West Coast soft, and this team is not that, right? That's the difference in this team right now is they're not soft. Any team can go to Houston and do what they did down, two of their top 7 guys. And again, Burries gave him credit. Like he gutted it out, but he was a shell of himself today. So this was a major win for an Arizona team that just last week, and remember, they lost 2 straight. We didn't kind of know how they come back from that. You're going to Houston without Koa Pete. Like most people thought, hey, this was an easy one.
Mm-hmm.
This would be one. And a bounce-back game for Houston, who, by the way, now their next game, they got to go to Fog Allen and play a Kansas team that is pretty pissed off after what happened today.
Just one more note on Arizona here. They become just the second team this century with 3 regular season wins versus AP top 3 teams in a single season. And all 3 of them were away from home.
Right.
So which was the better win? Was it Duke's against Michigan or was it Arizona's at Houston? Who would you guys say?
Arizona's was better because it came on the road without 2 of their top 7 guys. I know people will try to say Duke's was more impressive, but a road environment is much more difficult to me against a top 4 team.
Especially with Houston off a loss. Especially with Houston off a loss. They really wanted this one.
They beat the team that can't lose. Remember, they beat the immortal Michigan Wolverines. Rob Dauster's team of the century, not even the decade.
Team of destiny. Team of destiny.
I think immortal is the wrong. I don't think immortal is the word that you want to use there. Like, why are you saying like that's just? I feel like that's the wrong. You're a writer by trade. You should be able to have a better word there.
I'm tired.
No, what I would say is that I think that there are levels between Arizona and Houston. I think that's probably what I would say, and I don't think that there are levels between Duke and Michigan. So I think beating Duke to me is that's the argument that I would make. I think Arizona matches up really, really well with Houston. They got 3 really good defensive players in the backcourt, and you don't really get anything from the front court. So when you miss Koa Pete, it's not going to hurt you that much because you got the guys to be able to kind of stymie what Houston's backcourt is. But, I mean, they're both great wins, man. Duke and Arizona fans should be celebrating tonight.
Well, I mean, I will say, if you're just going by the market, Michigan and Duke was essentially – I won't say it was a pick. It was a slight favor to Michigan, but Houston was a 6-point favorite. So if you're going to go by the market, which I get it. I understand what you're saying, but super impressive for Arizona, no doubt about it, as they continue to. And by the way, also beat the shit out of Alabama. Like I know they're not a top 3 AP team, but like they went and did that too. So Arizona is just showing that you guys know this. You got to be able to win away from home. If you want to make a deep run in the NCAA tournament, and they're certainly doing that against the best in the country. So great night and a great day for Arizona, no question about it. I don't think we could say the same for Bill Self and the Kansas Jayhawks, however. That was a no good, terrible, bad day for the Kansas Jayhawks as Wes Miller leads the Cincinnati Bearcats into fog. Darren Peterson played, and by God, Darren Peterson finished. He did it. Against all odds, he did it. But it didn't matter. Cincinnati just absolutely destroyed Kansas on the road here. And obviously the alarm bells are going off. Bill Self is frustrated after the last game against Oklahoma State. They looked bad in this one, Rob. So what do we make of this one? 84-68 loss to Cincinnati.
It felt like this was the first time where it looked like the drama going on and surrounding Darren Peterson kind of impacted what we saw on the court. I felt like, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I felt like Kansas kind of rolled over late in this game and let Cincinnati run all over them in Fog Allen Fieldhouse in a game that they needed to win to be able to keep pace, a game back of Arizona in the Big 12 regular season standings. It felt like this was the first time where we really had a situation where the drama surrounding and Goodman, you can attest to this, man. This is the first time that Darren Peterson went from being like a college basketball story that people like us in the weeds talked about and that people in Lawrence talked about to something where this was on First Take, that Stephen A. Smith was ranting about it. Jay Williams was ranting about it. Every single person with a platform had an opinion on it. I think I saw Kendra Perkins say that you shouldn't take Darren Peterson in the top 10 or something like that. So it's
Perk does make some dumb statements. So this is just another one to add to his list.
Well, yeah, but I think the larger point is that this has gone from a college hoops conversation to an American sports conversation. And once you reach that level, then it becomes something where it's not just like friends and family that are texting you about it. It is every single person that you ever known or you ever seen is going to be seeing Stephen A. Smith say something about you when you're Darren Peterson in this moment. So it felt like this was the first time it really was a distraction.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I think it turned into a national mainstream story to whereas even for Darren Peterson, wherever he looks, like I saw him last week in Ames and there were like 5 people in the hotel there getting autographs and stuff like that. But it's not a big story that went national. And when Stephen A gets involved and some other people, and it wasn't just him, it just kind of took off. I don't know why, but it took off all of a sudden. And
football's over. We're running out. We got to start pivoting into some other shit.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I think part of it is that. But I mean, again, like he played. How many minutes did he play? 32, 31 minutes? What did he play? He played over 30 minutes, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
But he just didn't look himself at all. They stick him in the corner now. And I think as much as anything, it's either him trying to protect himself or Bill Self trying to protect him at this point. And because we remember what he was like even a few weeks ago when he played, before the flu. Like he was explosive at times.
A few weeks ago, 3 days ago, he had 23 points in 18 minutes.
Yeah.
It's
like it was like the skills
baffling.
challenge.
The whole thing is baffling right now. I'm trying to kind of figure it out. I think again, I tweeted this, but I think part of it is physical, but I think a big part of it right now is mental. A big part of it for him is again not even. And again, it is not to protect his draft stock. Anybody who says that is absolutely. It's one of the dumbest things you could say because if he was trying to protect his draft stock, he would have been done 6
He's not
weeks
hurting
ago.
His draft stock, Rob.
Right.
Come
he
on.
is hurting his draft stock.
He's not hurting his no.
6 weeks ago, he was clearly the number 1 pick. Now there's I talked to an NBA GM today who I had talked to 3 weeks ago, same guy. And 3 weeks ago, he said, "Hey, I'm not worried at all." And now he said, "You know what? I'm starting to get a little bit worried. Obviously, we got to see what checks out with medical." But again, I think, part of the issue here, is again, I got to be very careful.
You
But
do need to be
I
careful.
think, again, he's not always making his own decisions also in this process. He's got a lot else going on right now, and he's trying to navigate it. And Bill Self is trying to navigate. It looked like today they had never played with Darren Peterson before. I don't know if you guys agree, but it looked like literally they brought in a new player. It looked like they brought in, Charles Bediako or somebody like that. They had no idea how to play with him.
And here's the other part of it too. Like, you got to understand with the kid, right? And he is still a kid. We could talk about him as a pro. He's 19 years old, like, but he is still a kid. And he went from being a guy that spent his entire career, right? His entire career having his ass kissed, which is what happens when you are a prospect of Darren Peterson's caliber. It's not a criticism. That's how life goes when you are that kind of a player, right? When you're in high school, when you're growing up. And now you get to college, and there is, whatever you want to think about him, this started as a legitimate thing, right? Like, people are going to say he's milking it. People are going to say, like, it's he's
the
not worried about
real.
the cramp.
The hamstring was real.
There's a real injury that it started with, and now he's dealing with that. And the fallout from it is he went from being a guy that's the potential number one pick that everybody loves to, like, now he's a story. Like, you got Stephen A. Smith criticizing you. Like, that is a huge, huge turn. And when you go from being celebrated to all of a sudden you have everyone piling on, and everybody on the internet and every sports talk show and every podcast.
But that's not going to keep Darren Peterson from being drafted number one, Rob. Yeah, you know.
No, it's not. But it's still like, no, but it's still, when the pile on happens, that could be a lot for someone that has never dealt with that kind of criticism before. And I do wonder if maybe that is a part of what happened today. As he was just like, man, everyone hates me, man. Like, what is going on here?
Well, part of the problem, guys, is he hasn't had the opportunity to tell his story. He hasn't been out there. I was supposed to talk to him a week ago. It never happened. Never happened. I was supposed to talk to him in Ames. And it's not Kansas holding this thing back. I'll tell you that much. It's Darren Peterson's camp. They have done an atrocious job, public relations-wise, of trying to get whatever the story is out there, because I think people would feel bad if they heard Darren Peterson's story. I do. I think they want to see, and every time we see him, what do we see him? On the bench, and he's got absolutely no emotion. That's not who he is. So people look at that as he doesn't care. Trust me, this kid cares. I talked to him for a few minutes in Ames last week. He cares, and he was an MFer when we watched him on the AU circuit, an absolute MFer, somebody that, again, we were saying, he's clearly the number one pick over A.J. DeBonsa, who's a terrific player and would be number one in a lot of years. So I think part of the problem is you got to put him out there and let him tell his story. I don't care who it's.
Well, I would just say, like, at this point,
humanize.
Well, to me, it's like, if you don't want to be a part of, like, if Darren Peterson's people, if his family or his advisors or whoever, right, if they don't want to be a part of this experience at Kansas, then just leave. Just go. Just like remove yourself from college basketball. I mean, then what is it? What is it? Because, I mean, it's got to be something.
But if they're trying to control it, there's a control factor. It's not that they don't want him to be a part, but again, they're going to protect him as much.
It was pretty naive to expect the kid to go to Kansas and not be, a part of a major media exposure.
You got to understand, the times have changed. There's now leverage on the part of the kids and the kids' camp that was never the case before. Before, it was, sports information directors and coaches deciding, who was going to talk to these kids. Now that's not the case anymore.
I agree. I understand what you're saying. I just don't understand what is the purpose of hiding him? Who are you hiding him from? Why are you hiding him?
I'm not saying it's a good.
I just fail to understand.
It's
because the
bad
kids play on
reasoning.
ESPN every night.
Right. Yes, right. Let him, and he's gone up there and talked a couple times post game. But, like, what do you have to hide? What do you have to hide? That's my question.
Right.
This kid, I've done multiple interviews with him, and he's a smart kid. Trust me, like, he can handle this. He can handle it unless there's something major that we don't know about that he's hiding, which I don't think there's anything major. I think there is something there, again, probably from a mental, emotional standpoint. But I don't want to go into all that.
Got it. Well, Goodman's got a lot of skeletons in his closet. We'll get into those in the afters. Stick around. Field of 68 after dark.
Today's episode of the Field of 68 is sponsored by Chubbies. Right now, I'm literally wearing their everywhere pants. They are comfortable and stretchy to the point that it feels like I got on sweatpants in a business setting. I'm also a big fan of their classic line swim trunks. The built-in boxer brief liner is comfy, supportive, and most importantly, chafe-free. I had to get multiple pairs because I wore them every day down the shore last summer. This is year 15 for Chubbies as a business, and they are celebrating it by bringing back the shorts that started it all. The same iconic fit, the same lightweight and stretchy comfort-first design. For a limited time, Chubbies is giving our listeners 20% off with code F68 at chubbiesshorts.com. That's 20% off your order with code F68 at chubbiesshorts.com. Give your thighs the VIP treatment they deserve with Chubbies. Support our show and tell them we sent you.
Are you trying to follow everything happening in college basketball? It can be overwhelming. That's where the Field of 68 Daily comes into play. The Daily is your go-to source for recruiting news, game analysis, portal updates, and much, much more. For just $50 a year, you get access to the same information that your favorite coaching staff is subscribed to. Quality content can be hard to find in the college basketball space. The Daily is here to help. Make sure you subscribe today.
Welcome back, Field of 68 After Dark, here on YouTube, on SiriusXM, on X. In about 15 minutes or so, we're going to shoot over to the afters, which will be on X and YouTube. We'll leave here.
This guy's going to take some questions. He's going to take a few questions.
We have a Robbie Hummel bobblehead that will apparently be taking some questions, and we'll hit everything that we missed in the main hour here. But definitely want to make sure that we get to UConn, who, you know, after that tough rough patch that they kind of hit, obviously losing to Creighton. Big win today by double digits on the road at Villanova. And Rob, I would just say, you know, outside of that first 4 minutes, that was the best defensive performance that we've seen from UConn in a while. Offensively, it looked like things had started to click. I still don't think we've seen a complete 40 minutes out of this group yet, but that was a big-time response on the road after obviously a very disappointing home loss.
Yeah, it's frustrating as a fan to watch it because you see how good they can be defensively when they have their moments where they're playing well. And then you see how good they can be on the offensive end when things click, right? From about the 13-minute mark until Villanova reeled off, I think they scored 13 points in the last minute and a half of this game. In that window, I think UConn gave up 29 points in 32 minutes. And when they defend like that, that is what they were at the start of the year. That is what they were when they were playing their best. That is what they were when they were a top 4 defense in the sport. And then they have moments where, you know, the first 16 minutes of the second half, they were more or less unguardable. And when they are clicking like that offensively, you see what they can be. But I don't know if we've had a game yet where you see that defense and you see what they can be offensively, and you put those two things together for two halves of basketball. And that's where it's kind of like, well, we're now 3 games left in the regular season, right? Is that going to happen? Can they get to that ceiling, or is this just kind of who they are? And I think it's probably more the former, right? I still think that there is a ceiling for them to be able to get to, but every time it feels like they take a step forward, Silas Demery has 6 turnovers in the first half. Every time it feels like they take a step forward, they allow Josh Dix and Fedor Zugic to get to the rim literally whenever they want. So we'll see if they can eventually get there. I would probably still put my money on Dan Hurley being able to figure out how to be able to make that happen. But we have not seen a full 40 minutes of this team being what they can be offensively and being what they can be defensively yet. And they're 25-3 with a resume that is good enough to be the top number 2 seed in today's top 16 bracket reveal. So there's a lot of things that need to get figured out, but the sky is certainly not falling on Storrs, Connecticut right now.
Yeah.
No, it's not falling. It's not falling. They're just not in the group that I thought they were going to be in at this point, right? I thought they were going to be there with, Michigan and Duke and Arizona. And I think I can safely admit now that, they're not going to go in as one of those three favorites into the NCAA tournament. They haven't made as much progress as we thought they were going to make. They still have all the pieces. They can beat anybody on a given day. Absolutely. But, they've got their flaws. And I don't think Dan Hurley even would admit that he's got this team completely figured out. And Terrace Reed is a little bit of an enigma for me. And Silas Demery, like Rob said, is a little bit of an enigma with me. Alex Caravan, I love him to death, but, again, like he kind of is what he is. And they don't have those pros around him like he had, the last couple years ago. So I think they're the second tier team now. That doesn't mean they can't rip off 6 straight and win the whole thing. They're just not going to be one of those teams that, we just kind of penciled through to the Final Four like we did.
Mm-hmm. Well, earlier, these guys got a chance. What's up with all these coaching interviews that you guys are doing without me now? I mean, if I'm doing the show, you guys are just like, you're cutting me out. Is that what's happening?
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
You're not very good at the interviews. You're really
obviously you guys made that abundantly clear, because this is the second. Sometimes you guys let me interview the players, but the coaches you keep to yourselves. These guys got a chance to catch up with Dan Hurley after the win. Take a listen.
And now let me welcome onto the Field of 68 after dark, fresh off of a 73-63 win at Villanova. Dan Hurley. Dan, it felt like for about the middle 32 minutes of that game, you got back to playing UConn defense. I got to imagine the last couple of days in practice weren't easy. How'd you get these guys turned around and playing this way again?
I mean, shaming them, just the standard, man. I mean, it's like, these guys, we all get on campus starting in June, and really trying to, work your butt off and give yourself a chance to have a special year. And, just in the, like the performance the other night versus Creighton, like when you work as hard as we do and UConn gives you the resources that we get, like we can't let ourselves down like that. Like, showing up for a game. I mean, it's like just inexcusable. It was a really uncomfortable couple of days. And I thought for 36 minutes, you're up 21 against, I think a Villanova team that's pretty good on the road. I thought it was like a real championship level response by us.
Your bench, I've been saying it for weeks, like you hadn't been getting as much out of your bench as I thought you would get this year. Because you have a good bench. Like that should be a strength of yours, and it wasn't for, I don't know, a couple weeks, maybe a month. How important was it to get those guys going tonight?
You got to have it. I mean, you got to, we've got to have that. I think all the best teams have that. I think for us, we do. We've got 9 quality players. I think, Big Eric Rob has had a great year for us. Malachi's been a little inconsistent, but like, those 2 wings for us are critical. I mean, just, what Jay Ross does for us defensively, and then, Stewart, just to have some wings that could switch 1 through 4. You saw their length, I thought, bothered Villanova. And then we got some offense, from just about everybody. So, when we had our big wins in the non-conference, like that's when the depth showed up for us. We beat Illinois and Florida, BYU, when they were healthy, and it was because of our depth. Let's go for it.
You mentioned after the Creighton game that Alex was moving like a cargo ship. He looked like he was a little bit better tonight. Is he back to healthy? Is this just kind of like a wear and tear kind of a thing?
He was moving around like a love boat. Captain Stubing and what was the bartender's name on that?
Rob's too young. I can't remember it, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I got
the
you.
Love Boat. I mean, that's when the shows were good. But Alex was dealing with something. Maybe we should have sat him in that game. It was something that improved a lot because he only played like 22 minutes in the Creighton game. So not having to play the 36 minutes that he's been forced to play because I haven't been using the bench. And that's a me problem. I mean, I've got to trust the bench more, so that AK doesn't break down the stretch. And you could saw it today. He moved more like himself. he had life in his legs. So, AK, he moved like a faster boat than a cargo ship, maybe tugboat.
Good stuff there with Coach Dan Hurley. All right, zooming out a little bit, St. John's beat the shit out of Creighton. So as we're sort of wrapping up here, taking a look at the top of the Big East, Rob, how do we handicap it right now?
I mean, we're going to find out Wednesday, right? St. John's got to make their return trip up to they're playing it in the XL Center. That I don't know if I love the decision to play the St. John's game at the XL Center, but I guess when they can figure they can sell 17,000 tickets for it, they might as well try to sell 17,000 tickets for it. If I am going to be completely honest, that matchup terrifies me. I just think St. John's is playing a certain level of basketball right now, and the way that they match up against UConn and kind of what St. John's does well and where UConn struggles is not ideal, man. It's going to be a tough one.
Yeah,
I'm not going against your UConn Huskies in Hartford. Come on. We're not going against the UConn Huskies in Hartford. No chance.
Never.
They get the win.
Never, never, but I can sit here and be terrified about that matchup.
Yeah,
they're going to be pretty big favorites. They're going to be like, well, that's all right. Hedging is fine. Mm-hmm. It's better for your health, I think, in the long game. I mean, there's no valor with that, to be clear. Like, you have no balls, but you know, your mental health is probably more preserved.
You just described Rob.
All right, we have a lot more to get to in the afters, but let's get it cracking with toast, Rob. Who gets your toast of the night?
My toast of the night is not going to go to something from basketball. A friend of ours, Wes Rucker, passed away in a car accident on Thursday afternoon. One of the first people when I was just breaking into the business that was able to reach out and help out. He had a wife. He has a son that has been through 6 kidney surgeries and is under 5 years old, and his wife is pregnant right now. It is horrible. It is awful, and it is seeing the outpouring of support that's come out from people online to kind of help him out with his situation has been inspiring. But toast to Wes Rucker, a really, really, really great guy in this business.
Heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking,
man.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to flip it to something positive. Wes Miller, Cincinnati head coach, who obviously needed this one. They've won 4 in a row, huge one. And to John Martin for getting a haircut.
It's been a minute. My hair doesn't grow at the rate it used to. I think that's the problem. That's how I know I'm getting old. So appreciate that. Yeah, I'm gonna give a toast to your Wildcats going into Houston and handing them only their second loss at home in the Big 12 in their time they've been there. So great job by them. All right, we're done at Sirius XM. Join us on YouTube and X for the afters.
These my DJ Burns things I had for us. Taking them into the depths of Alaska and just dropping them off.
The first person that's gonna die gotta be one of the black guys. We're not gonna make it to the end of the movie.
That's like asking somebody, do they want to get a prostate exam or a damn gunshot wound?
Welcome into the afters. I think Dagan brings up a great point. Dylan Darling's balls continue to grow and swell, and Rob Dauster's balls continue to shrivel. They get smaller and smaller. Yeah, I mean, but I think that's what you were getting at, right? I mean, that's Rob's like, I'm nervous. Fair. I'm nervous about the game. I'm nervous. You mean, come on, man, it's a get back. You're 2-time champ in the last 4 years. Come on now.
Fair.
Act like it.
Fair.
Yeah, I mean, he acts like he's a fucking Memphis fan or something. with the return game of UAB. I mean, that's the one you got to worry about right there. Welcome into the afters. All right, what's the? I mean, there's obviously a ton of games that we haven't hit yet.
What a way to start the afters. You talk about Dylan Darling's balls continuing to grow, and you get a shot at Memphis as well. This is why John Martin.
But I think that's what Rick Pitino was saying.
It was a shout out to Dylan Darling's balls. Like, we talked about Dylan Darling's balls, then you made sure to get a shot in at Penny Hardaway. And so,
well, I mean, Rick Pitino is the one keep talking about him.
Well,
He says they're the size of church bells now. And I would say, like, that is a condition. You got to get that looked at some point. You know what I mean? Like, I think you got to get your prostate checked out, man. But anyway, it's obviously been a good run for St. John's.
By Dr. Dauster. He does
Gets the show. It's time to go. It's time to go.
Look, a lot of people don't know this. There were multiple injuries in the Arizona-Houston game in our group chat, and we had a fake Dauster that was trying to diagnose the injury. It wasn't even close. They said, you can't be Dr. Dauster. Dr. Dauster doesn't miss on these diagnoses. Different group chat. But
yeah, who was it?
Sean Paul.
Who was it?
It was Sean Paul. Sean Paul was trying to
get out of here.
He was
Sean Paul.
He was saying it was the hamstring when it was an arm for Cadeau. He was saying it was he wasn't even in the region.
He had no idea. Imagine saying it was a hamstring when literally you saw a wrap on his arm. There was a full wrap on his arm.
This is why they say often imitated, never duplicated. Dr. Dauster.
All right, let's get to the Illini here.
Oh yes, the Fighting Illini. This is after, of course, Brad Underwood sent some shots to LA. He said, we don't care, we charter, it's not that bad. We're spoiled. And this is, of course, after, Mick Cronin has talked quite a bit over the years about the travel and I get it, but it was a big night, big game after Mick Cronin also comes out yesterday, very, very contrite, apologetic almost for him, just a totally different,
Was he?
I thought he was. I mean, obviously somebody talked to him over there. And they get the win on a coast to coast.
Someone yelled at him. Someone yelled at him. That's what it was. Someone got yelled at him. They were like, listen, this is something. Honestly, it was probably something where, like, you might have just gotten close to the line where they can fire you without having to pay your buyout. And that's probably what Mick was reacting to. I don't think it was that good. When you spend 4.5 minutes trying to apologize for something, but never actually apologize to the person that you that you wronged, then it's
well, he did one of the two people he wronged. He apologized to Stephen Jammers.
Right. And it's like, I love Mick. Right. I love Mick, and I love this idea that we have college basketball coaches as characters that are complete lunatics. Like, the lunacy of some of these guys is something that I'm going to admit. Like, when Coach K, the villain, is gone, like, he's gone, and when you lose characters like that, I think that is one of the things that makes this sport great.
So there is a coach, there's a high major coach who has a list of, or a discussion of the most unhinged coaches. It's the top unhinged coaches in college basketball right now. And he has, Mick Cronin is number one on his list. And Mick was definitely unhinged in the last week, but after tonight's win, you got to figure Mick has got to be smiling because, man, the way they came back against Illinois, I mean, they dug themselves a huge hole, came back, end up winning on unbelievable play. 4.9 seconds left. Donovan Dent did his Tyus Edney impersonation, and man, did he take it the length of the court. And honestly, without much, there really wasn't much issues with him getting the basket all the way in 4.9. Nobody turned him. Nobody got in front of him. There was a good screen set by Bilodeau that kind of freed him up at half court, and then was it
a good screen, or was like it just a screen? Was it a good screen, or was it a screen?
I thought it was
good enough. How's that?
I thought it was a really weak effort from Keaton Wagler to get over that screen. Honestly, it was.
But they weren't trying to get over. They were trying to switch everything, is what they were trying to do, and they were trying to zone it up, and it just didn't work because they didn't have
all you had to do was turn him. Passively. All you had to do was give him.
You know what you needed to do? Early. You needed to just put two people on Donovan Dent to not let him get the fucking ball. Let anybody else get it. And Boswell. Just don't let Donovan Dent. Donovan Dent is the fastest guy in college basketball. He's going to be able to go court length the length of the court like that. Just don't let them get the ball. We'll talk about the Illinois side of this in 1 second because I think there's a bigger issue there to talk about. What I will say is that UCLA more or less punched their ticket tonight, right? Like they still have to probably go 2-2 down the stretch. I would say go 3-1. You got USC home and home. You got Nebraska at home. You got Minnesota on the road. You win 3 of those games, you're dancing. You win 2, you're probably on the right side of the bubble, right? And they put themselves now in a situation where they can feel a lot better about getting in. And with Mick Cronin and a good point guard, like if they get in, we've seen them do that and go from the playing game to the national title game before.
Okay.
No, to the Final Four.
They don't have Jaime Jaquez or Tiger
No, I know,
Campbell.
but I'm just saying, like, get in and see what happens, right? Get in and see what happens. So
fine. They beat Purdue.
Huge win.
They beat Purdue and Illinois at home. They beat them both in Poly. And what's their third best win, Rob, of the season?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you go 3-1 down the stretch, that means
they haven't beaten anybody away from Poly. They haven't beaten anybody away from Poly all year.
And if you go 3-1 down the stretch, hey, Goodman, let me read their schedule to you. They still have to go 2 Minnesota and 2 USC. Those are both going to be quad 1 wins away from home. If you do
Let's see if they get them. Let's see if they get them.
Yeah, but if you go 2 or 3, then all I'm saying is that they put themselves in the spot now where they will probably be in the tournament if they go 2-2, if not 3-1 down the stretch.
They're definitely in the tournament. They're definitely in the tournament.
Yeah. And I think the bigger picture thing here is probably the Illinois side of things, right? Because we know how good they are offensively. They're the best offense in college basketball. They're the best offense right now, the highest rated offense that we've seen in KenPom ever in the KenPom database. But they gave up 94 points to a UCLA team that is not very good on that end of the floor. Even with Kai Boswell and Andrei Stojakovic back, they had issues with keeping guys out of the paint. You're up by 23 points. I don't care who you're playing. I don't care where it is. If you're up by 23 points in a game, you should not be letting that team get back in. There was a stretch where I believe UCLA hit 16 of 18 field goals. Illinois had to switch to a zone to be able to cover up for some of the defensive flaws that they had. I thought the end of that game was the perfect encapsulation of some of the issues that they have on that end because they didn't have anyone that could just kind of step up and say, I'm not letting that dude get to the paint. It's not going to happen. I'm going to stop him. And I don't think that is enough to limit them from being good enough to get to a Final Four. I don't think that's enough to make me say I don't think that this team is good enough to be able to beat anybody in college basketball. But I do see the flaws pop up enough where I can say I'm worried about them being able to string together 4 straight wins against really good teams when they have these kind of moments on the defensive end. I think they're good defensively. I don't think that they can string together 40 minutes 4 times in a row against top 15 teams in college basketball to be able to win a national championship. And that is probably the flaw that I see with this group. How good they are offensively, they're just not quite championship level on the defensive end when you consider how good the top 4, 5, 6 teams are in college basketball this year.
Yeah, I never wanted to put them in the national title contender group. I would kind of put them there for a minute when they got hot. I just was never to put, I don't think they're there. I don't think they can win 6 straight because of their defense, like you said. I think they can win 4 straight. I think they can get to a Final Four, which would be amazing for Illini fans. But I don't think they can win 6 straight.
It would be amazing for us. Like when we're in Indianapolis, I want more than anything to see that Illini fan base show up in full because I know how crazy they are online. I talk to Trevor Valise every single day. I talk to Mike Latula multiple times a week. I know how crazy and how passionate and how intense that Illinois fan base is. I'm rooting for you, Illinois fans. I want it to happen. And it's not just because you guys do numbies every single time we post a video about you guys anywhere, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Instagram, whether it's YouTube. Like we're Illinois fans here. But you just see moments like that, and it's very hard to consider them. Here's a stat. Trevor Valise actually just sent me a stat. Donovan Dent, 14 points, 15 assists, 0 turnovers. Braden Smith, 27 points, 13 assists, 0 turnovers. Jeremy Fears, 26 points, 15 assists, 1 turnover. That is something that is a problem. And that is something that is going to get you got in the NCAA tournament, where you're going to face an elite point guard at some point.
At some point, yeah. I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I still think they have enough size and shooting to. I mean, maybe they're the next tier, right?
Right.
But I'm not gonna. I mean, they did just win a quad one game by 35 points. So I'm not gonna. The world's not crumbling on the Illini here.
Yeah, I think the way that I would phrase it, John, is I think they can beat anybody in college basketball this year. Duke, Michigan, and Arizona included. I think that Illinois can beat all three of those teams. I also think that they're the kind of team that can go up against someone that has a great point guard and just have one of those nights and get picked off in like the Elite Eight against a 3 seed or something like that. Does that make sense? Yeah. I just don't think they can do that for 4 straight games against that kind of competition.
I'm not selling my Illinois stock. I'm not selling it. That's all. You guys want to dump it, I'll buy it at a discount. But great win for UCLA. Great play there by Donovan Ditt, obviously. And Mick Cronin can go to bed happy, finally. All right, Dagan, what do we got?
Fellas, we're going to continue to jump around here to different games. We'll talk about Kentucky. Obviously, their loss at the end of the game to Auburn. We also have a clip from Pope we can get to.
Most importantly, let's set it up and then play the clip.
Set the stage for it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to set the stage. Auburn wins on a putback. They're late. A couple of what is it? Keyshawn Murphy, is he the guy that put it in? I was getting ready for the show. I believe it was Keyshawn Murphy. Could be wrong there, but either way, I know it was a putback from one of the Auburn bigs there, and they get the job done, 75-74. Again, not the most important thing, but it does matter. Kentucky covers. They were like 3.5 point dog.
It was Elijah Freeman.
Elijah Freeman, excuse me. But at any rate, UK falls short on the road at Auburn. Look, both teams needed it, right? UK trying to stop a 2-game losing streak. Auburn's trying to stop a 5-game lose, and it played out like that. Obviously, very desperate for both teams, and Auburn gets the win. Do we want to go to the clip now from Pope, or do we want to?
Sure.
What happened with it was there was it was a little bit of home cooking, which is kind of what you expect in SEC basketball when you're playing on the road, right? But the play that I think is going to really set him off was there was an offensive foul call that to me was a pretty obvious flop by, I believe it was Kevin Overton. It was an inbounds. Kentucky was up 3. They foul, make 2 free throws, and they're taking it out. And Colin Chandler just tries to get open, extended an arm. It looked like a flop. It looked like one of those things where you grab the arm and fall down, so you make it look like someone's pushing you over, and the referees fell for it. Goes to Auburn down by 1. They miss a shot, offensive tip-in, missed it, and then the second tip-in by Elijah Freeman put them up by 1 with 1.1 seconds left.
Yeah, and Mark Pope obviously had some words, and this is what he had to say after the game.
Those motherfuckers try to 5 6 school. They did not say a word about how they cheated us.
He did not say a word about how they cheated us until after he left the microphone. So that'll be interesting to see how how that gets litigated, Jeff Goodman.
Listen, they've won enough close games through this stretch that they were bound to lose one. But this one could hurt. This one could hurt because obviously you've got a team now that's they've lost 3 in a row. They lost at home to Georgia in the last game. Now they lose this one when they probably should have won it. And now you go to a dangerous game on Tuesday night at South Carolina. That if you lose that one, look at what they finished with, right? Vandy at home, at Texas A&M, Florida at home. All winnable, but all losable. So, you better make sure you don't go kind of free falling here at the end of the season. Right now, they went in as a 6th seed in fielding the 68, whatever we call it. I know I should have the.
I think that's what we still call it. Yep.
Thank you. Fielding the 68. Thank you. I've been in the bracket show for all day Thursday. It scrambled my brain. But anyway, I think the other thing is if you're Kentucky, you got to stay off that 8-9 line. You got to stay off that 8-9 line if you want to try to win 2 games in the NCAA tournament. Because, to be honest, you win one, you lose the second game. That's not a successful season. At least if you win 2, you get to the second weekend. It's not a complete calamity in terms of going into the season with as much resources as they did. But and for Auburn, huge. For the flip side, huge, because they were right in the bubble. I mean, right in the bubble. This is a huge, huge win for Stephen Pearl, where, again, it's costly for Kentucky, but I don't want to say they're playing with house money, but they kind of were with how many close games they were winning.
Yeah, and you know what else? I think that the call on Colin Chandler was kind of horseshit, right? Like I hate rewarding flops. I hate rewarding people for diving. I think it set such a horrible precedent. If people are going to fall over like that and you're going to reward them, I don't think that you're doing your job as an official. So I hate that. But if you're Kentucky, I think that you had more fast breaks in this game that ended in absolute disaster than anything I've ever seen in my life. It's kind of like watching my fourth graders go out there and try to run a 2-on-1 break where you're just praying that they get a shot at the rim and don't like dribble the ball off their foot or like throw it over the backboard. Like just get something on the rim and maybe it's going to find a way to be able to go in. I feel like that happens way too much for this Kentucky team. They had their opportunities to be able to make some noise in this game. They had their opportunities to pull away. They were up by 9 at one point in the second half. They got stops and they were not able to execute on the offensive end of the floor. I don't believe that they got a friendly whistle late in that game, but they should not have been in a position where they needed a friendly whistle to be able to win that game down the stretch. I don't believe it. And you're right. When it comes to Auburn, man, good for Stephen Pearl. They had lost 5 straight. They needed this one. They probably have to win out, John, to make the NCAA tournament, but winning this game is the first step towards that. So
I wouldn't say
see if they're able to.
I wouldn't say that because here's the thing. Again, being in that room the other day, there's a lot of teams on the bubble with very, very questionable resumes, Rob, and a lot of like I wouldn't say win out. Like again, you may need to win. What are they? 4 left, 3 of the 4, and win a tournament game. That may get you in the first 4. Like you got to understand, like there are a lot of
winning they have to do though. That's not that different than winning out. I mean, that's just one loss. I mean, it's effectively the same thing.
Yeah, yes, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You might even be able to get in.
Goodman, if they win at Oklahoma, they beat Mississippi at home, they beat LSU at home, and they lose at Alabama, will that be enough for them to get in? Probably, because they have that win over Florida. But I would not want to play with that fire and go into Selection Sunday because if you lose at Alabama, you're going into Selection Sunday with 14 losses.
No, you got to win the next 3. You got to probably win the next 3, and it starts at Oklahoma. That's kind of not a dead team because they actually played A&M tough tonight, but that's the one you got to win because you better beat Ole Miss and LSU at home, and you should. So you go 3-1, and even if you lose the first game of the SEC tournament, I think.
Yeah, you would. Ole Miss is a dead team. You would have watched. You want a dead team? Yeah. Put on Ole Miss. Yeah. I mean, my God, I saw it. It was one of the first games of the day. Dead
team.
Who
else is a dead team? The Memphis Tigers.
Dead team.
Yeah.
Dead team. And I buried him after the Ole Miss game on this network. Like literally. The second game of the season, I said, "Man, this Memphis team is ass." People still fight me about it, and we'll do that on a different day. All right, we can do this in DC. Well, we got plenty of time. Do the autopsy there with Dr. Dauster present. All right,
he does autopsies too.
There's really nothing that your license doesn't. Yeah, you're like a mortician. You're a sports medicine.
Everything. It's amazing. He's a lawyer,
an oncologist, a prostate,
lawyer,
all of it, and a lawyer. No question. What a talent! Right. All right, what else, Dagan? What else we need to hit?
All right, sticking in the SEC here, we're gonna go to Florida, winners of 7 straight. Took care
that game
of it.
Seems like it was like 3 days ago. By the way, when
it
they
does.
beat Ole Miss earlier today, like honestly, it doesn't feel like it happened today.
Yes,
but
as someone who laid as someone who laid 13.5 with Florida, I can give you the breakdown of the game. Florida sleptwalked and beat the shit out of Ole Miss. Malik D had like 25, and nobody else showed up for Ole Miss. Like that you could tell that team's ready for the season to be over. Florida again probably played its B game. Although Xavier Lee kind of heated up there and finished with a double-double there late in the second half, but a lot of Klafschar, a lot of the bigs as you're getting used to, and this Florida team, man, I tell you, if I can just get a decent game from Xavier Lee, I'll feel very good about how far they can go.
Yeah. Tommy Hauck always shows up. That's one guy who always shows every single game. And I'll tell you what, Alex Connon's been fairly consistent. Fairly consistent this year. So you got those guys, and like you said, you get Xavier Lee, and Klafschar can shoot it. Like that's the one thing he can do. So Boogie Flan to me is kind of the X factor as well. Like if you can get Boogie Flan being like even a guy who can make some shots, not turn the ball over, just kind of set guys up. I don't know. I mean, again, it's all up to their backcourt if they can win the whole thing again and repeat.
And I think they can. Like I'm at that point now.
Yeah. I mean, they're in the UConn tier. They're not in the top tier. We know that. But if they get hot and they start making shots, I could see them.
I think they're above the UConn tier. I would have them with the way that they're playing right now. I would have them closer to the Duke, Arizona, Michigan tier than I would have them to Iowa State, to Houston, to Illinois, to UConn, to Purdue, to any of those other teams, because they can guard, because they can score, because even though they're struggling shooting the ball overall in the season, they're still able to go and get 42% of the shots that they miss. They are right now, since the loss to Missouri, right? If you just kind of look at what they've done since January 7th, they are the second best team in college basketball according to Torvik. Higher than Arizona, higher than Michigan, higher than Houston, only behind Duke at this point. And it's a very slim margin. And the biggest thing is, to me, that they have the front court that will be able to hang with it. They're not going to get out physicaled by anybody's bigs. They're just not. And because of the passing and playmaking that they have from that front court, and because of their ability to get out and run and transition, I think that they belong closer to that tier of top 3 teams. Like I would go as far to say right now, if I was going to rank the top 4 teams in college basketball today, not the top 4 profiles, not the top 4 teams when it comes to being in the selection committees like seed list, but the 4 teams that I feel best about getting to the Final Four right now in this moment, it would be Duke, Arizona, Michigan, and Florida. And I feel like I'm out a little bit on an island there, and maybe I'm going too hard into it, but I think that this team is better than people are giving them credit for, and people are giving them a lot of credit at this point in the season.
Yeah, I won't fight you too hard. I think the guard play is iffy. That's my only reluctance with them, honestly. All right, Dagan, what's next?
All right, fellas. Well, while we wait for Iowa State BYU to wind down here a little bit, we're going to go through some bubble games today. Our teams around the bubble. We don't have to spend very long on these, but just kind of a couple different games we can jump into. So we'll stick in the SEC. Missouri fell to Arkansas by 8 today. We had Missouri as a 10 seed on Friday.
I think it says more about Arkansas, to be honest.
That what?
We know how much
they won at home against Missouri. Jesus, Rob. They were 10.5-point favorite. They didn't even cover the number.
I mean, Acuff had another game, ho-hum, like he does it every night. I mean, talk about a guy. Listen, I ripped on Kendrick Perkins' takes earlier, and some are really bad. And his is probably a little bit ridiculous that he thinks Acuff should go number 1 in this draft, but Acuff is terrific. I mean, he is a sensational player. Here's my question to you guys. All right, here's my question to you guys. Right now, they've only got 7 healthy guys. How do you put together a team? And they've only, I think, lost one guy, right? Isn't Knox the only one that's hurt right now, really?
Mm-hmm.
How do you put together a team with that much money and you only have 8 dudes? 8 dudes that can actually step on the court and play. Like who?
I mean, that's how Cal always has done it. That's Cal plays short rotation.
I think that was part of the plan. Like they're going to spend all the money on these guys, and then they're going to invest in some practice players to be able to make sure that they're able to actually get the work in. But I hear you. 8 is a very
it's just setting yourself up for
a slim margin.
You got one injury, you get one more. You get one more injury now, and you're down to a 6-man rotation. They played 7 guys.
How long is Knox out for? Is he done for the year, or is he just out?
No, I think it's another few weeks. So I think he'll
we don't have that long.
Richmond
we don't have how many weeks do we have left?
Richmond got hurt at the end of the game. So I'm looking at it. I'm like, they're down to 6. The other night, they had a couple guys foul out in that overtime game against Alabama, and they had to put in somebody I had never heard of in overtime. So I'm sitting myself like, dude, you've got all this money. Like, how do you not put together a squad that goes 9 deep at least? Give me a 9th player that you could play, who can get in the rotation and may not play a ton, but like is a real player.
The level of disrespect that Jeff Goodman has right now for Jaden Karuletwa and Elmir Zafi. Like, come on, man. You don't know who Jaden and Elmir are? No. If you don't know Jaden and Elmir, you don't know ball. Like, it just point blank period. And I feel like
I'll say this for Arkansas. I'll say this for them. Like, I know Acuff gets the headlines, and he should because he's the draft prospect this year. But I think the most important player on their team is Trey Richmond because he guards the other team's best player. He is.
Yes.
I'm just telling you, if you watch the things that he brings to that team, it's all the stuff that you have to win. He's getting the offensive rebound. He's guarding the other team's best player. He had 21 tonight, so he can do that too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just constant energy.
Did you call him their best player?
Most important.
Yeah. All right. So the X factor is the way that I would phrase it.
They're done. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
Take up out there.
He's not the most important, but he is without a doubt the X factor.
If you take Billy Richmond off that team, they're every team scoring 100. I mean, they're doing that.
No, he does.
You're already doing it. Right. They're already.
Yeah.
I'm with John. John, I'm with you. Like, he is so important to what they do because of his athleticism and the playmaking defensively and what he can. Like, he's just so athletic that if he gets any kind of like lane to the rim, he's fucking dunking on your face. Right.
Exactly.
But the idea that you would call him the most important player on the team when they have Darius Acuff is insane.
It's not the most ridiculous thing that's been said on the show tonight. I feel very confident in saying that. I mean, so Goodman was saying like there's like 2 athletes that stick out in terms of like who jump off the page. It's Billy Richmond and it's you in Phoenix throwing the football down the street.
That was very athletic.
How many yards do you think that went? What was the official tally?
24.
38.
24 yards.
38 yards.
It's not 38. There's no way it was 38. Gap. Wasn't even close.
There's a big gap between the two. All right. You guys can't ever agree on shit. It's a problem. I don't know how you guys have a business together. You guys constantly disagree. All right. What's next, Dagan?
All right. Our next game, bubble game we're going to look at. Texas, Georgia. Georgia 11-point win at home. We had them as a 10 seed coming into the day. We had Texas up on the 9 line after a couple of wins.
Mike White, baby.
Would you consider that a bubble win as a 10 seed?
Yes, 100%. Big bubble win.
What is it if it's not a bubble win?
They were sliding, and then they got the win against Kentucky on the road, and they get this one, and now I'm not going to say they're comfortably in, but they're definitely on the right side of everything. And Wilkerson played well tonight for the most part. He's been banged up. Millender, like, Catchings was good. Listen, to me, Sean Miller's done a good job getting this Texas team back in the equation right now to be a tournament team. but they need more from some of their other, like Tremont Mark had 4 points tonight. Like that can't happen. That can't happen, especially when you're playing an up and down game like this. Lokititis was really good for them, which he's been for the most part this year. But big win for a Georgia team that, let's see where we had Georgia as a 10 and Texas was a 9.
Yeah. You know who else got a really big win in the SEC tonight was Texas A&M winning at Oklahoma. And the reason why Texas A&M had a really big win is they didn't really do all that much in the non-conference at all. I think their best win in non-con play was Florida State. And here's the end of their SEC schedule. They have to play at Arkansas, Texas at home, Kentucky at home, and on the road at LSU to end the season. They could very easily go 1-3 down the stretch of this. And if you go 1-3 with what they did in non-conference, you go from going into February being all alone in first place in the SEC at 7-1 to missing the NCAA tournament. It's almost like Buzz Williams is back. It's almost like Buzz Williams is back at Texas A&M, having great starts to the season and then just kind of pooping all over yourself down the stretch of the year.
Yeah, except at Maryland, it was just always poop in the beginning. So,
all right, Jagan, what do we got?
All right, let's keep moving through some of these. A big one, USC loses at home to Oregon. USC comes into the night as an 11 seed. They were the last team above the last 4 in.
No, they're going to be out now.
Brutal loss for USC. You know, they get Chad Baker-Mazara back. Elijah Arenas plays. Last I checked, there's only one basketball.
You can't lose that game. You can't lose that game.
There's only one basketball, and Chad Baker-Mazara and Elijah Arenas on the court. I'm not sure how good that goes. No, I like both of them, but again, just don't know if I trust this team. And Elijah Arenas coming in midseason, Baker-Mazara getting hurt. Maybe if he had them all, like if he had Elijah from the preseason healthy, maybe Musk could have figured this team out, and they could have been at least exciting to watch. But yeah, right now they're on the outside looking in. Bad loss.
You know who the biggest loser of the night tonight was? Who probably had the worst night tonight was the Mountain West.
Yeah,
it was a brutal night in the Mountain West.
Well, New Mexico ended up winning. New Mexico ended up coming back and winning.
Yeah, San Diego State lost. Utah State just lost at Nevada, which actually saves you because of Utah State was up 6 with like 3 minutes left, and they lost. And if they had won that game, I would have had a 2-game cushion in our Mountain West championship.
That's true.
Wager.
That's very true.
So that was a huge win for you.
I actually
made some ridiculous comebacks in here.
I think there might have been a bigger loser than the Mountain West tonight.
John Martin?
No, John Martin's a winner.
I'm a winner.
His backdrop.
Yeah.
His backdrop's good. Like everything looks good. The office looks good.
Dude, I tell you what, anybody that's betting against me, whoever's been betting against me for the last 10 years, 15 years, it's been really bad for you because, I'm going to the Final Four again this year with a field of 68. I'm going to D.C. with field of 68. I'm a voice on a national college basketball network. I'm a columnist in my city where I'm born and raised. I have a top-rated radio show in that city. Like, I'm the fucking man. So you want to keep betting against me? I'm happy. Come on with it.
All right, talk your shit, John, and thanks for outing the thing that we hadn't announced yet. But thank you.
That's right.
Appreciate you.
I actually think the guy or the team that had the worst night, probably, and it's had the worst last couple of weeks, is Brad Burnell and Clemson. They're the ones. I mean, they lost to Florida State at home tonight. It's been disaster. I mean, we had them as a lock. They were a lock in the tournament 2 weeks ago. And now you're talking about probably being a 9 seed, probably like in that 9-10 range. Right. They're an 8. Yeah, they're an 8 on the last show.
10 seed now, probably.
Right. They're 9-10. They're 9-10, and things are totally like going down. So I think Brad Burnell probably had the worst day of anybody today, just because now you see that, like, how do you get this thing back on the rails? Because like I said earlier, like they didn't have that much talent. He had been coaching his ass off. But then when you hit adversity like this, it's like, how do you get it back without a ton of talent? I'm not sure you do.
Yeah, tough one there. No doubt about it. We're waiting on Iowa State and BYU to finish up. This is basically okay. It's been all BYU, so it would if it ends anything other than that, it'd be a surprise.
Before we get to that, I do want to stick in the ACC and talk Virginia-Miami. Virginia pulled out a 3-point win there. Pretty solid win in the ACC.
Yeah, Virginia's good, man. Virginia's good. You know what? I watched most of that game this afternoon, and they had the benefit of kind of being on before all the really, really good games started. So it was kind of what I was locked into, especially because it was a really, really good ending. And what I came away with, and I don't know if you guys agree with this or not, is that I think both of those teams are really damn good, right? Like Virginia's 24-3. They might be the most under-discussed 24-3 team in the history of the field of 68. They're 24-3 in the ACC, and we are now an hour and 36 minutes into the show and just mentioning them. Miami's 21-6, and I know they didn't really do all that much in the non-conference, but they're 21-6, and they're 10-4 in the ACC, and that is – hold on, let me make sure I'm correct when I cite these stats. That currently has them tied for third with the NC State Wolfpack in the ACC regular season standings. And it feels like we're not talking about Miami at all. I came away from thinking about that game from thinking both of those teams are capable of getting to a second weekend. I think Virginia, they're going to be a little bit more matchup dependent than other people, but I think that like Elite Eight and Final Four is certainly not out of the question with them. Jakari White is a flamethrower, dude. Goodman, we had that dude on the ACC Insider podcast that we did. He not only is he a great interview, he is so much fun to watch. He hit two threes late in that game that were the no, that's a terrible shot. No. Oh, it went in. I love shots like that. We call that the Ali Farouk Manesh. Nothing.
I didn't know.
I teach you.
Goodman obviously
nothing to say about it.
I'm keeping an eye on the BYU Iowa State game here. Sorry.
You
said you were locked into that game, so I was going to let you carry that game.
But you know, it's like he tried to throw the ball to you. You know, like you were open in the corner and you just watched the ball go by.
I know, but you know what he did? You know, he threw it to me with like 1 on the shot clock. So I'm not taking.
Agree. It was always a grenade. He threw you a grenade.
Not taking the grenade.
That's what I can't remember who it was, but I remember it's like somebody said. Oh, I think it's like Luke Kennard. I don't know who it was. They're like, he will not. If you pass it to him with like 1 second on the shot clock, he will not shoot it because he doesn't want to mess with his shooting percentage.
Yeah, like
don't do it, or he'll pass it right back. So yeah, no, I think Dauster's definitely a grenade launcher though. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. No question.
By the way, Jay Lucas, man, I know we've talked about it on this network before, but coming in year one and revitalizing that program the way he's done, that team is fun to watch. I don't know how many games they won in the tournament because I do have questions about the defense, but obviously they've got talent and they can score the shit out of it. And so they're fun. They're a fun team to watch. They covered the number as well today. So kept it closer than people thought. So
this might be the battle of the two best first-year head coaches with their spot, right? I mean, and Jay Lucas being a rookie head coach, what he's done at Miami this year is freaking amazing.
Impressive. Yeah, it's a great hire. It's a great hire by Miami.
Remember how many people – I was shocked. I mean, I remember I was at the Garden when it started to break, and I was like, really? They're hiring Jay Lucas? And but give Dan Radakovich some credit here.
No question.
So it's a really
My question would be like, is someone going to pick him up? Like, is somebody going to, I mean –
Well, it would be a team, a program in Texas where he grew up, right? I think that's where – if you're Jay Lucas, you're probably looking. But if you have money in Miami and you're living in Miami, like that's not bad either.
Pretty good. I mean, it's no Memphis, but it's pretty good. All right. Is BYU final yet?
No, it's only.
It's actually getting a little bit closer. So
they're going to be down like 7, Iowa State, with about 2 minutes, less than 2 left.
Last thing we need is to risk it and talk about the wrong team. So we'll go to one more game.
No question. Okay.
Justin in the chat wants to know why we haven't talked about Tennessee Vanderbilt yet. So we can hit that.
I know. I agree. That we blame that, Justin, on one Dagan Hughes. That's what we do.
Sure. That's fine. I'll take the blame.
Rick Barnes. Here comes Rick.
Here comes Rick.
Guy's
Are
amazing.
you saying nice
Guy's
things about
amazing.
Rick Barnes today?
No, I mean, the guy seriously is amazing. I mean, you know, he had to replace a ton from last year's Elite 8 team.
Everything. Yeah, it felt like
I mean, yeah, and he you know, brings in a freshman and Nate Mint, who obviously hit that big shot late. Jacoby Gillespie, you know, carry transfers in from Vandy. You know, certainly no guarantees, not much returning, not much coming back. And like they're I mean, again, I realize both of you probably would not deem them much of a threat to make an Elite 8 run or anything like that again. But again, I don't think this was supposed to be that kind of year.
But Gillespie's capable. Like, he's capable of going for 30 on any given night, and Ament certainly can go for 20. So it's just whether they get enough help, right? Like, that's the biggest thing. Can they get a third guy? They haven't really found a consistent third guy, and Nate did not play well up until hitting that midi towards the end of the game. But big win at Vandy. I mean, that's a huge win for Tennessee, who's coming on. Like, they've played really well over probably the last, month or so, and they're putting themselves in an equation here where maybe they can move up and get one of those, top 4 seeds. They're not far off.
They've won 4 in a row. They've won 8 of their last 9, and they've only lost twice since January 10th. And both of those losses were games where they blew 15-plus point leads to Kentucky. That's what Tennessee is right now. Yeah. They are much better defensively than I thought they were. They're not a great shooting team. They're not a great team offensively. They kind of are what they are. But they get – I've never seen a team get 45% of their offensive rebounds. They're the best offensive rebounding team I think that we've seen since we've been doing this, Goodman, at least since Ken Pom has been a thing. And the fact that you can combine – you have 2 guys that on any given night can go out and get you 20 to 30 points, and you can go and get 45% of the misses that you have is a way to be able to really raise the floor on what you could be offensively. I don't think that they can beat some of the best teams in college basketball, but I don't think that they're the kind of team that's going to beat themselves. So if you look up and see Tennessee in the Sweet 16, I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I wouldn't either. I think they can be a Sweet 16 team. I just don't know if they can be a, if you're Rick Barnes, you're 70 years old, you're trying to get to the Final Four at this point of your career again.
I think he was trying to get to the Final Four every other year too.
I do too. I think.
I mean, I don't think the fact that he's 70. I mean, I think he probably wanted to do it every other year that he coached.
Every other year, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
he's 70 now. He's
there's the dagger. There's the dagger for BYU. This game is over. They're up 10.
Wow, you're calling it with 1:26 left.
Yes. Yep. Boscovich just hit a big 3, open 3.
Well, what does this say about BYU? Like, not having Richie Saunders.
You know what it says? Finally. That's what it says. They finally got their resume win, and it came without, maybe the guy we thought was, he's obviously not their most talented player, but Richie Saunders was their best player a year ago and a big part of what they had done so far this year. And he's out for the season. Sometimes that can happen, right? Like you rally behind an injury like that, and other guys step up. And Kennard Davis has certainly stepped up. Moo, as they call him, has stepped up and made a huge 3 a couple minutes ago.
Well, the hard thing is that it changes what you're going to do. When you have someone as influential as Richie Saunders, it changes how you're going to play. It changes what you're going to be offensively. It changes how you're going to run stuff. It changes all that film that you have. The what would it be the 25 games of film where Richie Saunders is playing? You just light that on fire because that's not what BYU is going to be anymore. And it's not like you don't have talent.
They're still going to be give the ball to AJ and let him make plays, and he makes them for himself. And the beauty for AJ now,
the night that he had tonight, the night that he had tonight, when you have that conversation about who is going to be the number 1 pick in this year's draft, what you're going to do is you're going to fire up the film and you're going to go back and watch him play a top 8 defense in college basketball and put up 27 points on 17 field goal attempts with 9 rebounds, 8 assists, and just 2 turnovers. This was the AJ DeBonsa performance. And it wasn't just him being a free throw merchant. Like there's been games where he scored a lot of points and been inefficient and just put up those points because he's able to get to the paint, jump stop, do 7 pump fakes, finally get someone in the air and draw a foul and get to the free throw line. That's not what this was. This was AJ DeBonsa like going – this was him. This was the level of him in the second half against Clemson at the Garden, that kind of performance.
Yeah, but it came against Iowa State, not Clemson.
Yeah, he had a pretty good second half against UConn too. I mean, why did you go straight to Clemson?
Because they lost that game.
I know, but we're just talking about individual performances, though.
No, this is the statement game for him if they can hold on. Again, they're up 8 now with about 45 seconds.
By the way, I mean let's also
I'm confident.
Let's also state too that like this was the shittiest spot for Iowa State. I mean, you get that come from behind win against Houston at home, takes everything. And I want to say they were the
Kansas win.
Right. The Kansas win and then the Houston win back to back. And now you got to go to a BYU team at their place that's trying to rally, So this was always kind of
needs it desperately. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Like this is kind of, these kinds of games happen in college basketball. Yeah. I mean, I think BYU somehow could be, I don't want to say better, but like, it seems to me like there's a world where their upside can be reached in a way maybe now that it wasn't being reached before. And I don't know why exactly that is, but it's happening. I mean, they played pretty damn well at Arizona. And this one's definitely over now. 59,
yeah, John, their upside doesn't really change all that much because they are one of these teams where it's like, all right, we're going to let our guys cook, right? And it becomes a little bit more difficult to be able to do that when you only have like. There's going to be nights where Robert Wright and AJ DeBonsa aren't playing well, and you can't rely on Richie Saunders go and get you 33 like he did. Where did he have 33? He had 33 in a big win for. I can't remember where it was. I think it was it Kansas? Was it at Kansas when they almost came back to win that? So you don't have that option, but you still have AJ DeBonsa and Robert Wright and some pretty quality role players. So it's not like they've gone from being a good team to a horrible team. They went from being a team with 3 studs that's really good to being a team that has 2 studs and has a chance to be really good. And there's going to be nights when AJ does this and takes games over, and you could beat anybody in college basketball. So I don't think it changes their ceiling for what they could be in the tournament because, there's going to be nights when those guys take over. What I think it does is it makes your floor that much lower. So now you're much more susceptible to getting picked. Like if they end up being like, what are they now taking, like a 5 seed in our bracket? I don't have it up in front of me. A 6 seed. Yeah. So now you're the 6 seed. You're much more likely to get picked off by an 11. But I don't think it changes the opportunity for you to have to get to a Sweet 16. Does that make sense?
What's crazy is on a day in which Darren Peterson goes out, plays the whole game, gets 17 points, but Kansas loses at home to Cincinnati. Now BYU gets a statement win, and AJ DeBonsa comes within 1 assist of a triple-double, has probably, like you said, the best all-around game of his career because they got a win against Iowa State, a team that was basically on that one line today when the seeding came out. I think the gap is closed. I'm not ready to say I would take anybody over Darren Peterson at number 1. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting closer.
Yep. Nice night for AJ and obviously a nice night for BYU. Is that it? Is that everything? All right.
You got nothing for this guy, huh? This guy's going to go home. He's going to go to sleep without fielding any questions. Not a one.
I mean, I think. Yeah, he I mean, I was on with McCall and Justin Jackson yesterday, and I was impressed. Beating a rival by the most you've beaten them by since 1969, and first thing Matt McCall comes on and says, "Yeah, man, but they just absolutely sucked at against Michigan." So it's like we just invalidate anything else they do. I just, Purdue can't do anything right to you guys. There's nothing they could do.
No comment.
All right. Let's get out of here. Let's call it a night. Big night on Saturday. Only a few of these left before we're getting to Selection Sunday, so cherish them. No question about it. Keep it locked here on Field of 68 as always. For Rob Dauster, for Jeff Goodman, I'm John Martin. Have a great night.